Okay, part 2. Now what I want to do is we got to set up the timeline down here. So we got a timeline. If I press play, come on, nothing happens. Okay, so I got 120 frames here currently, and there's 200 in total. I don't want that. What I'm going to do is I want a 24 frame walk cycle. So if I want a 24 frame walk cycle, I want 25 frames. Got 25 and 25. Remember, what's going on down here is there's this is your timeline along through here, and you can scrub through that. You got no animation, so you don't see anything happen. And then there's the time slider. Okay, but the time slider is just a way to focus in on smaller parts of your animation. Probably not going to really use that much right now. I might do something like put it 1 to 24 and then have 1 to 25. Like if I double click on it, it opens up the full way. So if I bring this down like this, double click on it, opens up the full way, click on it again, goes back to where it was a moment ago. And so if when I'm doing playback, I might look at 24 frames, when I want to animate, I want to use 25. Basically, I'm setting this up so it's kind of easy math. Okay, there's frame 1 to 25, and the last frame I'm typically going to hide. In this case, you could do it 1 to 24, and you could have a 0 frame, but I'm doing it this way because it's easier to explain, I think, without a 0 in it. Because the first frame and the last frame have to be identical, but you typically want to hide that last frame. So that's what I'm doing. Also, let's see, this is just in range here. There's a little orange man being chased by a gear. I think you should phone the police, and maybe we'll catch him. Okay, no, what that does is that opens up the preferences, and it goes right to the time slider. These preferences are identical to going to Windows, Settings, Preferences, except it just focuses in on the time slider immediately. And in the time slider, there's things like play every frame. Okay, great. Playback by 1, maximum playback speed 24 frames. Okay, great, that's good. Actually, something I really like changing is update view. It's usually on active. I'm going to switch it to all, so if I have 4 viewports open, I can see them all at once. Okay, anything else you got to worry about? 24 frames a second, and typically I go into the animation section here and I change the default in tangent to clamped. That's my favorite one. By default, it'll usually be on auto. You got to do some things with auto. I find auto annoying, so I don't like it. I like clamped, and a lot of people will use linear to start off with as well. So that's another popular favorite, but for now I'll do clamped. And any other things I got to worry about here? No. Display, frames a second, playback in the time slider area, we should be good. Actually, it's on play every frame, 24 frames a second maximum. I really hate this thing now. They've changed this to try to explain it. Okay, actually I'm just going to put this on play every frame, and I'm going to hit save. And I'm going to point out that there's another way to check out your playback speed. If you right click on the timeline, you can find playback speed, and it says real time, play every frame free, or play every frame max real time. Typically when you're animating, you want to use real time. Okay? That back in the preferences, they had a bunch of different options, and it's like, oh, I have to think about this too much. Anyway, not going to worry about it. I went in here, right-clicked, and went playback speed, real time. Okay, now we're set up and ready to go. The first thing I always like to do is establish some tempo. Okay, so with the tempo, I'm just using the up and down movement of my upper body controller. I'm going to go to frame 1, and I like to start on the low because it's easier in demos. So I always kind of bring my character down a bit lower here. So I got bent knees. And I'm going to hit S on my keyboard, and that puts on keyframes. You can see they all go red here. You'll notice there's a little tick on the side here, this little red line. Here, I'm going to make my red line bigger. You don't have to do this. I'm just doing this. Actually, where the hell is my tick size? Tick span? Tick size. 1, 2, 3. I want a big tick. I always feel good with a big tick. There. Actually, I can even make it bigger. 5 size. There. Okay, hit save, done. Just so visually you can see this quicker. So I got, you'll notice here as I move this forward, let's turn that controller thing, that's going to bug me. I just turned that P back on so that I can see the controllers when I slide in the timeline. And I'll go here to frame 25. I'm going to hit S again. I'm just going to point out that if I move my frame here, you'll notice that it changes to a salmon color. Okay, an orangey, salmon, pinky thing. And so when I'm here at 25, it's red, but when it's off, it's showing you there's keyframes on the channels, but you're not on them. It'll only highlight in red when you're on them. And I'm going to go to the middle here. Now, we are going 1 to 25, so the middle frame is actually 13, because the walk cycle itself is broken in 1 to 12, and then 13 to 24, essentially. Okay, and I'm going to hit S again. And when I press play, nothing should happen for no reason. I've got 3 keyframes. Okay, my typical behavior is I always go and do the first and the last, then I go into the middle and I cut it in half, okay, which I've done and there's no real animation on. Then I'll cut it in half again. And this time I'm going to pick it up. And I don't want to pop my IK handles. There are these things inside of the legs called IK handles. You don't want to pop your IK handles. You don't want to pop your knees. Okay, that looks kind of cool. Oh yeah, he's jumping and his toes are pointing. But this is called popping your IK handles. It's kind of bad. Unless you're doing what I call punk rock animation. Now, I'm going to go ahead and set a keyframe there. I just hit S on my keyboard and that set keyframes on all these. Great. And now if I press play, you can see the animation is going down. We need to go up again, so I'm just going to go here. So I did one at 7, and then I'm going to go to 19. I'm going to pull this up. Boop. Don't pop your IK handles. I'm going to hit S. And now when I press play, we get this. Okay, and this is establishing my base tempo for my robot. Now, typically what I would do is I would start figuring out what's going to happen here with my hips and my shoulders and my head. But because you're just learning, everybody just wants to see the feet move. So I cater to you. I'm going to make the feet move. And I'll probably end up stopping this video right here. I'm just thinking if there's anything else I can mention that's usually a problem or a hang up. No. I'm going to stop right here and go to the next one.